Hey everybody, Ijaz, I'm back with another video, and boy, we have a serious week of earnings this week. We're going to go for all the companies that are scheduled to give earnings the week commencing 9th of August 2021, and there's some serious ones. So let's take a look. So starting off on Monday before the open, let's reveal. You've got the Trade Desk, you've got BeyondTech, you've got Workhorse, a lot of these momentum players. You've got Berkshire Hathaway, Purple. Coming on to, let's see, after the close, you've got AMC. So you can see that Monday is going to be a fun one for any of you traders out there. Any of you traders out there willing to place a bet on any of these momentum players, AMC, Workhorse, get ready. It'll be really interesting to see how these guys do. You've got car lots here. Be interesting to see how they perform. We know what's been happening to the prices of used cars. So it'll be interesting to see how those. Any of you invested in these guys, make sure you're tuned in to see how they perform. AMC's after the close. We may well cover that here on a live stream. And you've got Workhorse before the open, okay? So don't get caught out with that one. That one's before the open. Be also interesting to see how Purple performs as well. Moving on to Tuesday. Tuesday we've got before the open. We've got Casper Beds. Okay, we've got Marinus, Nanox, Cisco, Exela. Okay, nothing from our interest. But after the close, this is where it gets interesting. You've got Fubo, Coinbase, Upstart, Unity. You've got McAfee and Poshmark all after the close. I know a lot of you guys in the community are invested in Coinbase. I've got a serious position in Coinbase. Really interesting to see the earnings. I know they've taken a bit of a beating, but I think based on their earnings, I feel like investors will start to understand this is a serious company and this is seriously trending the right way. So really expecting high things of Coinbase. Looking forward to see how they perform. Foobotv, another interesting one. Not one that's personally in my portfolio, but I know a lot of people that have Fubo in their portfolio and heavily back this as an interesting in the streaming space. We saw what happened with Netflix and Roku. Even with slight beats, they were getting hammered on the downside. So for Fubo to stay in the green, they're really going to have to do a triple beat with some good guidance. And I've mentioned that as the trend for all stocks in general, the market's not in the mood. Guys, the market's not in the mood. So if you're trading these guys, please be careful because it's moving in odd ways where even you're seeing triple beats and the stock going down. Okay, so you know it's really got to be triple beats and some good guidance and everything else looking smooth and it's a non-virus play. Then we can see things going. So Fubo, I'd be really cautious of that just because of the recovery. Similarly to Poshmark, not too sure. I know a lot of people again are interested in this as a stock. Never particularly followed it. But do let me know your thoughts on Poshmark and particularly if you're invested in it. Moving on to Wednesday before the open. Again, some interesting ones. We've got Wendy's, we've got Wix, we've got Hillian, App Harvest. Skipping on, we've got Target Hospitality and EVgo. So definitely some interesting ones there. None of those in that list are in my portfolio, but if any of you are monitoring those, be sure to check in. I expect Wix to still perform strongly. I know that Squarespace has been doing well. Wendy's, another interesting one. It's more of what the reopening plays. How has the Delta variant affected those guys? Remember, this is on Q2 performance, so we're still expecting decent performances in Q2, but I'm interested to see the Q3 lag as the fear of the Delta variant started to pick up again. What impact did that have? Now, moving to the close on Wednesday. Now we're talking. So the close on Wednesday. Now, this is probably what a lot of you guys are going to be waiting for. Kicking off with NIO. Okay, big Chinese stock here. It's been a versatile couple of weeks for China with the crackdowns. I made a video on that. Please do go check that out in terms of why are China regulating, what are their key themes and frameworks around which companies could be next to be targeted by them. So you've got NIO, you've got Coupang. Open Door on the real estate side again. Now, this is an interesting one. So when Open Door comes in, you do want to keep an eye on some of the real estate plays that are sharing earnings earlier in the week. Okay, so be sure to check any earnings plays early in the week. We heard from Redfin, so we can use that as a guidance for Open Door as well. Okay, and Zillow. eBay on the e-commerce side, it'd be really interesting to see how... I missed Clover. How dare I? Clover, another momentum stock. They took a battering, but then they had that short squeeze. If you remember, probably was that about a month ago now. Another momentum stock. Wouldn't be surprised if they deliver some good earnings. It'd be interesting how those shorts will maneuver that particular instance. Carrying back on, we've got eBay from the e-commerce side. It'd be interesting to see what their figures are. Again, these e-commerce companies, whether it's Amazon, whether it's eBay, they would have benefited a lot this time last year. So when they're producing their quarter-on-quarter guidance, they're comparing to a very strong quarter in Q2. And so it's very hard to provide any meaningful insights as to what is normal. This is unprecedented times, so it's very difficult for companies to know when things are starting to normalize and what to expect in Q3. So one to keep an eye on. Blink charging network, one I've been meaning to do a deep dive into because it's one of those I keep missing. I do want to start a position in Blink. I've not managed to sit down and do the research on that, but hopefully you guys can keep me accountable to do that. Maybe we can share a video on this channel and do a deep dive together and start building a position. Sonos, again, they would have benefited a lot, wouldn't they? I'm an investor in Corsair, which provides a lot of peripherals. Sonos, again, in the sound system market. I wonder how they performed. You've got Bumble, which IPO'd was it around March, April time, I want to say. Not been on my radar particularly, but for some of you who are into that. And then Lordstown Motors, one I'm staying well away from. They've not got enough cash. I don't think they're going to be able to provide a meaningful piece of competition to Tesla or NIO or Lucid for that instance, given the resource. Okie dokie, moving on to Thursday. It's still fun here, guys. So on Thursday, we've got the much anticipated Palantir. So again, another decent sized position for me in the portfolio, Palantir. I think Palantir is just misunderstood. I think it's a really good price. And if you look at the government contracts they're delivering, I would not be surprised if they surprise some people with their earnings. They're working on some massive projects. Defense spending has not reduced. Government spending on critical pieces of intelligence hasn't reduced just because of the virus. If anything, you want to make sure you're keeping that as up to date as possible. And it'd be interesting to see, is it still through government contracts or are they starting to bring up their commercial? Because a lot of their investment memorandum was leading to suggest that they're trying to take their technology that they've built and they've proven works in government and defense, and to see whether they can start selling that into corporations. It'd be interesting to see if they've managed to do that. You've also got Baidu. I wonder how they're going to perform. A lot of attention on the Chinese stock market, on Chinese stocks listed in the US at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how they performed. And then after the close, some top companies again. So we've got Walt Disney. I've got a small position in Walt Disney in the portfolio. I mean, safe to have it. It'd be interesting to see how they performed. Q2, I think they started to open up in Q2. I'm in the UK here, so I'm not too familiar with kind of how their venues were, but I was pretty sure they did start to open up and people were able to go to Disneyland and the rest of their attractions in Q2. Wish, another popular one, e-commerce. You'll be able to get a gauge on Wish based on eBay and some of the other e-commerce players when they report. So do keep an eye on that. If you're in a stock, try to see how the related stocks are doing in that market. If you're in NIO, try to look at Tesla and vice versa. If you're in EVgo, have a look at some of those other ones. If you're in Blink Charging, see if you can look at another charging company as well. Okay, so Wish performing. Airbnb, another massive one, a big company. Let's see how they performed. How resilient was their platform to the challenges faced in Q2? Did people start to? I mean, anecdotally, we heard people were going out more and trying to book Airbnbs. Let me just move myself out of the screen. So anecdotally, we know that people were trying to go out more and explore. Were they booking Airbnbs? Was that converting? It'd be interesting to find out. Rocket Mortgages. Again, not one I followed. I know they were almost becoming a bit of a momentum play, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of the traders were jumping in on that stock. So for me, I'd put them as a momentum play in with the likes of Clover, Workhorse, etc. Sundial as well. For those of you in that space, then in the MJ space, Sundial's one for you to watch. And then the much anticipated Tattoo Chef. Beyond Meat, if I'm not mistaken, they disappointed slightly with their earnings. It's going to be a difficult one for them. They lost a few contracts, if I weren't mistaken. I think it was with Dunkin' Donuts. Let's see how Tattooed Chef delivers on their earnings. A lot of people waiting for this. They really need to start producing if they want to kick on from the price range they're stuck in at the moment. But that's one you're going to hold for the long term. If you believe in that as as an offering, you want to be there for the long run. You've then got SoFi, which I skipped past there on purpose. So you got SoFi, another interesting one. It'd be good to see where their numbers have come in. There's not a lot of, we were doing the valuation exercise on the other video where we were looking at Robinhood's value versus the like of Schwab versus the likes of SoFi and Coinbase, etc. It'd be good to get some real financial numbers out of SoFi to find out how they're performing. Jivo in Thursday after close of play as well. And then we end on DoorDash there. Another one which we would expect to do well given the market. A lot of people ordering. But again, how's that going to produce relative to Q2, which was the peak of the issue this time last year? So it'd be good to see how did those Q2 earnings for the companies which benefited from that situation, how are they delivering now, moving back to a slightly more normal world? And then that's pretty much it. On Friday, Embraer. You've not got anything that piques my interest there. So there you go, guys. A bumper week of earnings. You have, just to recap, you've got the likes of Trade Desk, you've got the likes of AMC, you've got the likes of Fubo, Coinbase, NIO, Wix, Palantir, Wish, Airbnb, Tattooed Chef, EVgo. You've got some phenomenal earnings there. So please don't forget, go through your portfolio, make sure you know which ones are giving earnings out this week. Refresh yourself on the data and the reasons you have high conviction in these stocks, and make sure you listen to the earnings calls to find out if there's any piece of information which is given out, something new. Are they working on a new feature? Have they started to indicate that maybe sales aren't looking as good as they thought initially, or a certain part of their business isn't performing as well? Or have they lost a key person in the management team? Have they lost a key partnership or a deal like happened with Beyond Meat? If you're invested in these companies, it's your job to know this info. Okay, so listen to the earnings calls, start getting used to the patterns of earning calls, know what you're looking for, and it'll become easier and easier the more you do it. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the companies providing earnings for the week beginning August 9th. Have a good week. We'll stay in touch on more videos, and we'll see you in the next one.